And this is another thing about it's better when you're liked than when you're right. I tweeted out after the T.I. conversation. Look, I tweeted this out. I tweeted out, had a great constructive conversation with T.I. today. Appreciate him for lending me a listening ear and also for sharing his knowledge as well. Hope we can grow from this and learn to talk to each other rather than only talk at each other when we offend or we're offended. You look at most of the people who ain't in my audience, you know what most of them are going to say? Yeah, you shook now. You shook now. That nigga pressed you. Oh, yeah, we knew. Yeah, you don't want no smoke with Tip. T.I. didn't call me on some, nigga, I'm about to fuck you up shit. Whole time he said, bro, I can't tell you what to do, but I want to give you, you seem like a very intelligible guy. And also, a lot of people have, like, we had a great talk, but none of it was like, I'm pressing you. That's why I respect T.I. But of course, you see, when people don't like you, they're going to take it to be what it is. So even nowhere in this fucking text did I say T.I. threatened me, T.I. forced me, nothing. You know what people still going to take? Nah, you shook. Now if I double down and be like, man, fuck all that shit. You know what niggas going to say? Shit, you stupid as hell. They about to kill you next week. Bro, you can't win versus the internet. I know this as a fact. That's why y'all gonna still get mad, because y'all gonna get mad at this and think, oh, we got Act now. Oh, Act is done. And then when I fucking diddy bop and motherfucking moonwalk out that shit, just like I went to the Breakfast Club and handled all them questions, and now it's like, what are we still talking about? Everybody's quiet. You gonna get mad again? I'm telling you. So again, I understand I can't change people's minds. But I will say, and I want to give this credit to the Breakfast Club. I want to thank them because I think my audience already understood. Breakfast Club's audience is a little bit older and people who might not watch me. And a lot of them watched this interview and they said, it gave us a different perspective. I thank Charmaine for that. I said, yo, you know what? I didn't know what this was going to be in terms of the reaction, but I realized it was a good reaction because I sit and talk on stream a lot. Those people who watch that Breakfast Club interview, they won't watch this. So I respect it and I thank it. Anyway, we got a bunch of stuff to get to. Oh, we got to talk about Soulja Boy, Sosa, all that stuff. Let me talk about the T.I. conversation real quick. So I hit up, T.I. texted me. I don't know how he got my number, but he texted me. He texted me, I believe on maybe Saturday. Yeah. There was a lot going on Saturday. And I was like, yo, T.I., he texted me late. Or actually, I texted him, then he texted me. And I said, yo, could we talk tomorrow morning? T.I. was like, yo, I got my birthday festivities commencing. So let's talk on Monday. And happy birthday, by the way, T.I. Now, I'll give him another piece of credit before I go into this. And by the way, I know how y'all going to take this because I know the people who don't like me are listening with a different ear. I'm not giving him credit because I'm scared. I'm giving him credit because, unlike a lot of people, T.I. could have just jumped out with a opinion. You know what T.I. said? Yeah, I want to have a word with you. I want to talk to you real quick. Right? When I got on the phone with T.I. Monday, this is after the Breakfast Club thing, T.I. said, Act, I watched what you also said about potentially talking to me on your stream. I wanted to make sure I wasn't just going off this, that, or the third. I watched a few things. I got to salute to a nigga like that. You see, a guy like that, I love to have a conversation with. It was a great conversation. Let's start out by saying this. Because, yes, I did offer an apology to Toya and Reginae if they were offended by a joke that I was making. Yeah, I did. Because, you know, also talking to T.I., and I'm glad I did that. I did that before I talked to T.I., but T.I. gave me a new perspective of it. And this is how T.I. started the conversation. T.I. says, yo, do you have any kids or do you have any sisters or even nephew or no nieces actually, nieces or cousins that are female, and he basically was saying like, listen, a lot of things, even jokes, women don't react to just like men, and this is what I took away from it. So, again, it's open to, if he says nah, nigga, that's not what I said. But this is what I took away from it. Me using the B word, which I later corrected like 2 seconds later, was one of the things that probably got Reginae and Toya both offended. But that wasn't the majority, which that was shocking to me. I thought they were just mad at the word. For them, like T.I. even vocalized to me, he said, yo, well, the tone and everything which you said made it seem like, because I did say, I was like, yo, she just downgraded. She just got some random nigga. This is exactly what I said. After talking about her leaving wife and Lucci for I don't know this guy's name. Anyway, the point of what T.I. was trying to convey was just like, listen, and obviously he knows her, so he's much more intimate to the situation, right? So he's like, listen, bro, she's going through life and she's made mistakes. And it's one of those things where, these mistakes, she doesn't even want to define her life and this and third. This is a bunch of more stuff. And it made me feel like maybe mentally or like, she didn't take that, like, I think we all just took it as a joke and moved on. And we took it as a bigger picture. That's why I was trying to say the B word. I was like, we know women like this. Also, and this was T.I.'s thing, T.I. said, listen, well, also when I heard you say that she downgraded or she went from this guy to this guy, it made it seem like Reginae was one of them. And I said, what you mean? He says, well, Reginae ain't like most of these people that you might be trying to make that joke about. Reginae comes from a made family. She don't gotta chase no nigga. She don't gotta chase no nigga of stature. She don't gotta chase no nigga who's on any type of level. Your comments made it seem like she's needing a nigga for whatever reason. Now, granted, that wasn't my intent, but that was a good insight by him. I'm like, well, I agree with you that she don't need no nigga. You know what I mean? But I understand that perspective. So yeah, for T.I., it was more about, and I don't want to speak on a relationship or give what I got from that conversation about prior relationships. Basically, they're saying, listen, she don't want to be defined by certain people or certain situations or even past dating experiences that she's had. She's growing up. She's figuring this shit out. She's making mistakes. But I did point out to T.I., I said, T.I., she's an adult and she's making public relationship things. And I ain't gonna lie, he definitely did. He used well, you know what I mean? She's different. He did use that. He pretty much used that. You know what I mean? Then we got to the B word. So I had to make sure he knew how I used it. And he was like, yes, I do know how you used it. But he says, even in that, we don't like how you made that comparison. Because Reginae doesn't fit or compare to those type of people. Because he acknowledged it. I said, T.I., you do comedy. I was trying to make a joke. It's a joke. That's it. That certain women date certain niggas until it gets real, and then they run to the square. They run to the non-gangster. And he was just like, I get what you're saying, but that's just not her. Then he said to me, that's why I know he listened to the stream, and that's why I gave him super, super props. He said, Ak, while also listening to your stream, you said, well, one of the reasons you used the word bitch is because you have heard that from myself and others. You've heard it in our music. And I said, yes, sir. That's true. Yo, the internet's so funny. Even me just saying yes sir in here, I didn't say yes sir to him. Just relax. I was like yes, Ti, yes, right. So yeah, of course I said that, right? Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I didn't say that. No, yeah, I did. Then he said to me, which was very interesting. He said, well, the same way how you're saying about your comments, context is missing. When you say people like me, an artist like me who have used that word, have done it on a broad stroke, that context is missing. And I'm gonna be honest, he hit me with something which I didn't think he was gonna say. He said, you have to know there is a difference. There are bitches, but there are women. And essentially he was just trying to say, Reginae don't fit in the category of the bitches. Reginae is a woman that should be respected. Not only from the family she comes from what she stands for and how she moves. But then he said, you're right. There are bitches who are, he kind of described it as like a lower level type of chick who basically that's how they move. Oh, they're just fucking with guy to guy, just trying to get like, some type of almost like social climbing in a way, right? Like, okay, you're fucking with a drug dealer because he got the money. Now he get locked up. You fuck with another drug dealer because he got the money. And you fuck with this guy because he's a thug and he got this. And then eventually you sell it for the square. He wanted to make sure, I was just flabbergasted when he said, yo, no, there are bitches. I was like, what? I thought bitches was the... He was just like, no. But there's a difference between bitches and women. And we have to be very cognizant when we used it. And he said, anytime I ever used the word bitch in my music, I was talking about some bitches. That's what he said. He really said that. And I thought about it and I was like, okay. No, I get it. Like, you see, this is a nuanced conversation too. And this is why I love the convo I had with him. Because if you don't understand nuance, you're going to be like, isn't he just contradicting himself? No, he's saying that the word bitch usually is used for a large, broad people. And yes, it's derogatory at times. But if you go back to any comedian, you go back to anybody who really explains shit, you got the bitches and you got women. Somebody said, this nigga T.I. skated with no accountability and I made it happen. Well, also, we're going to also have to acknowledge, right? Because I did tell him, I'm like, yo, I comment about Moneybagg Yo and Ari all the time, right? And that was to address the fact I commented on her relationship. Because everybody is now, like, in the last week, they've made 23 a child. It's like, yo, she's a 23-year-old child. Like, I wish I could tell the cops that. You know what I mean? But okay. I get it. And, obviously there's a like, I don't even know what to say. Nigga, but basically what I'm trying to say is, nigga, there's rules for some, rules for others, yo. Listen, if it's hip-hop, Reginae's hip-hop royalty. You know how many chicks I've called doing the same type of stuff? Not call them bitches, but like, just kind of use the same type of joke. Reginae and them, they're exempt. That's basically what the conversation was about. They're not like that, whatever the case is. The mother chicks though, love hip hop, who ain't got no hip hop royalty attached to them bitches wild. Okay, that's all I can say. And also, here's the thing too. This is one of the biggest things too. I definitely want to say that. I think they were also upset. This is pretty big. They were also upset that they believe that the joke I was making was painting a narrative. You get what I mean? Because from what I'm hearing is that she left YFN Lucci a long time ago. It wasn't the Rico that sparked it. So, I guess they're saying your joke is making that opinion more popular when it's not factual, which I understand that too. Now, granted, I never did no research on their relationship. I'm going off what I see on the Shade Room. I seen her with this guy a couple years ago. Then I seen her with this guy, and I'm like, oh, the only thing I remember in between is Rico. Okay, whatever. But the B word is definitely what am I saying B word? The bitch word is definitely it's intricate and it's difficult to really it's difficult to really comprehend. But I do believe a lot of these rappers, now that they're having daughters that are growing up and entering the sexual or dating marketplace, shit hits a little bit different. Do you get what I mean? Because even in the explanation that T.I. said, when he said, well, yeah, I said bitches in my raps, but I was talking about bitches, not women. And I'm like, I understand that, there's a distinction that could be made. But a lot of times, how do you know the difference between a bitch and a woman? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, it's us also, it's kind of like the conundrum we be in when we're accepting the N word, but we're like, no, it's all about the usage. Granted, that's a little bit different because we just banned white people from saying it. But the word bitch, if it's used in certain, if a woman says bitch to bitch, right? Like if a woman calls another woman a bitch and the other woman calls her a bitch, a lot of times they're being very friendly. If the tone is wrong, that's what he said. Thank you. I'm glad I'm remembering. That's another thing he said. He said, act. Your tone matters too. Because the way you say bitch with the tone you're talking about this situation with makes it feel degraded. It's complex. And by the way, as I said, it was a great conversation with T.I. I would like to invite anybody, especially rappers who I grew up on. I grew up on T.I. I grew up on a lot of Wayne's music. I grew up on Cameron, 50 Cent, Nelly. I grew up on, you know what I mean? Who else? A lot of these guys, 2000s, I'm learning a lot about just how whatever it is. I would love to have these conversations with these men and have a roundtable discussion with it to see how they now feel. Because when a lot of the objectification of women in hip hop came from the 2000s. There was a thing called BT Uncut. I could literally turn my TV on and see a nigga slide a credit card down a woman's ass. Like, whoop! Like, basically, like, it's just simulating that, he's just paid for sexual favors of pleasure from the woman, and that was considered fly. Do you get what I mean? It's like, but I always go back to what hip hop is, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think T.I. is eloquent enough in having that conversation. I don't think everybody else is, because when you're drawing straws and like you're being super, okay, this is not offensive, this isn't. It becomes really down to what's subjective. Maybe we should have the conversation that nobody should use the word bitch. But I don't think rappers will want to have that conversation because they want to reserve their right for when they want to use it in the context they want to use it. I said it must be your ass because it ain't your. I'm telling you, that's tip drill. I'm telling you. Yeah. So I keep telling y'all. Everybody gets mad at me. And by the way, I invite everybody who's been mad at me. I'll do this format with anyone. I'll give you 20 minutes. Let's have a conversation, an hour conversation. 20 minutes, you get whatever off on what you think I've said. So if it's an older rapper, let's say LL Cool J, you could ream me out face to face, 20 minutes over the Dusty and Bro comment. But for the remaining 40 minutes, let's talk about the subject I was really talking about. Let's talk about let's go more in depth. Because in a lot of cases, like, people don't realize, like, I'm one of the products of hip hop. One of the reasons why, you're seeing a lot of these new artists move the way they are. They're the products of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people remember the whole thing about, back in the day, we were selling drugs. Now y'all are the fiends. Well, let's just go on history. Y'all sold drugs to their mama. Their mama got hooked on drugs, had them. They became fiends. They're now rapping. They're making music. You started that. Your actions, your message that you put out, you started that. So it's easy to point out later on like one was better than the other. But everything is cyclical. Everything connects. To really fully have a conversation about the drugged out culture of music, we got to talk about people who are peddling drugs in the culture. But nobody wants to have that conversation. You know why? It puts. Let me say this, and I hate to use my mom as an example, or like my parents, or anybody who's of, who's a parental figure in anyone's life. Watch how uncomfortable things get when you grow older and you have to talk to your mom about why she did certain things while raising you. Mom, have this conversation. I don't know if this. I hope this never happened to none of y'all. Really, this conversation right here, be like, yo, mom. Like, you know how Uncle used to beat us or whatever, or Uncle used to touch our sister every time you would dip to go hang out with that man that you met, blah blah, because you in a whole relationship, and so you don't want those type of conversations. I'm not saying necessarily that. But when you got to talk to your parents and hold them accountable for their action and be like, Mom, you wasn't around when this was happening. That's why you never believed us when we told you. I guarantee your mom going to be in denial. Your dad going to be in denial and be like, no, because you're directly accusing them. You're directly telling them that their actions kind of spurred some other shit. I'm telling you, every time there's certain conversation with my mom, every time my brother have it, we're grown as fuck. It starts with arguing and everybody walks away. You can't, but I'm telling you. And salute to parents, salute to the people who came before us, but a lot of people don't, it's hard to kind of acknowledge that your actions have probably instilled trauma, have instilled bad behavior in somebody else. So when I think about hip hop now, nobody wants to have those discussions because accountability is the hardest thing ever. Okay. What are we doing now? Shit. Oh, let me